Night one is officially over. WrestleMania XL Saturday is in the books. Let's start off with
All right,
those
so we
three.
have Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the title, the six-pack ladder match for the tag titles,
Uh-huh.
and Rey Mysterio and Andrade versus Dominic and Santos.
Rhea versus Becky, super hard hitting. That reminded me of like Gunther and Sheamus level. It was the perfect starter for the weekend. I felt like it really set the tone for the whole night. Back and forth, and more importantly, the spots with the turnbuckles and all that. There was no botches. It had a good pacing to it, and I thought that it was just pretty much flawless. How about you guys?
I thought that match was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I like the back and forth, the kickouts, everything. I really enjoyed that match. They delivered, so I'm
Yeah, yeah.
glad.
They.
I'm
I
glad
feel.
Rhea retained.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I loved the match. I thought the psychology was good. I keep talking to Keon about that spot, but that electric chair spot where Rhea keeps her on her shoulders while they go outside the ring is crazy.
That was
Yeah.
nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. Yeah, you're right. That was a really, really impressive moment in that match. How could I forget? They transitioned from that to the ladder match, and I'm like, oh my God, this was like my most anticipated match outside of the Bloodline stuff. And then the ladder match, the six-pack challenge, they had the two titles, the Raw and SmackDown titles hanging separately. Yeah, they're splitting the belts. How are they gonna do this? How is it gonna make sense? I had picked R-Truth and The Miz to win the Raw ones, and I picked Grayson Waller and Theory to win the SmackDown ones because at the end of the day, two faces couldn't win it. In my opinion, I felt like Theory and Waller needed to kind of solidify their bond as a tag team. Yeah, their tag team dominance. I felt like they've been just henchmen, kind of like a joke, and this gives them a reason of being. I just don't agree with the way they did it. It was a sneaky, path to getting the belt. They didn't really get too involved in the start of the match. They didn't really do a whole lot, and I felt like they could have done more. But it was supposed to feel like it was a highway robbery, right? They came in, they snatched the belt, and then Waller got put through the ladder, and he was pretty much done for. That's when everyone else pretty much stepped it up, and the spots started going crazy with the tables and the high flying and the flips and all that. And in my head, I'm like, all right, this is what we were waiting for, because if the match was going to end just like that, like we saw Waller, we saw Theory, that's it, then it would have been a scary sight, right? A lot of action, a lot of fun spots, and it delivered, in my opinion. How about you, Keon, and then MGM?
Man, that six-pack ladder match was really good in my opinion. I thought everybody did pretty good,
Better,
except
baby.
like you said, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. They
Yeah.
could have did a little more for me. That little sneaky win they did, it was whatever. But they should have did a little more to make it believable. But
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody did good. I'm really glad. I'm really glad. R-Truth got his WrestleMania moment, and
That's what it was more. That's what it was about more for me. That and making it a fun match overall, right? But
yes, yes,
celebrating our truth at the end of the day.
yeah. So it pretty much delivered for me, and
I kind of agree with you guys. I don't think it was maybe executed the best. I
Yeah,
feel like Austin Theory and Grayson kind of just, well, they won and then they did nothing else. I'm
they
glad
just
for Miz and Truth though.
having that mania moment, which is what I was telling Brian about. I was like, oh man, I'm really big on the mania moments and the mania spots and the opportunities. And when are we gonna see our truth as hot as he is now? Dom
Santos.
Santos versus Ray and Andrade. Yeah.
Yep.
So I thought that was gonna be a cool down match.
No, and that match went insane. I enjoyed every spot of that match. Ray's
Yeah,
still doing his stuff at his age.
surprised us to have involved, Jason Kelsey and that other football player with him too, the other
Lane
lineman,
Johnson.
Lane Johnson, and then that was a cool moment. Obviously, he had already teased the Carlito turning stuff, so I thought they were gonna maybe do something like that, and they didn't. So I was like, all right, well, what are they cooking up? And then involving the football players, that was a nice touch for the hometown crowd, and to give an excuse for Ray and Andrade to pull out the win, because honestly, I really thought that Santos and Dom were gonna pull it off. I didn't know they were gonna give Ray uh, two WrestleManias in a row whooping his son. I was surprised. I was surprised with that one for real.
Really fun match. I thought all four guys all had a time to shine. Andrade and Ray's chemistry was really good too.
It
So
was, oh my God, that jump that they both did outside the
Oh
turnbuckle,
yeah,
like
that double
holding each
splash.
other.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that double splash
that
was
was
real nice.
dope.
We transitioned from that match, which again I thought would be a filler, and it wasn't. It was actually really, really good. And then we had the Jimmy and Jay, right? I see how they're trying to one up each other. They're doing the same moves to each other. They're kind of, twins think alike and all that. But I just felt like the match was missing something. We waited so long for the Mania moment. We waited so long for this match to happen. They had a cool down period. They didn't strike while the iron was hot, so to speak. For them having waited this long to have this match, I was like, I wanted a little more out of them. It felt like a Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown main event, which it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it didn't feel like WrestleMania. He needed some airtime for something else, right? What's coming next? What are we gonna get? And then we ended up getting the Naomi, Jade, and Bianca match where they won, and that was another one that felt a little quick. It all made sense. The Rock, Roman versus Cody and Seth, that match was over 40 minutes long. I felt like it all made sense at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that match, yeah.
But did you guys like
Yeah.
the Jimmy and Jay?
The super kicks were kind of annoying me because they just like was just no selling the shit out of them.
Yeah,
Like they just
New
kept
Japan
getting up,
AEW super kick stuff.
kept getting up, no selling, no selling. I'm like, can y'all do something else? I get that's their move, like their trade and blow move, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
come on now, y'all got more in y'all arsenal than this. Like, I just
Yeah,
wish
I
I
don't
had a
like
little
that
more
stuff
out of
either.
that match.
I agree.
But I
I
mean,
agree
it
with
was
you
okay. It
100%.
was okay for what it was.
The first half of the match wasn't bad. Like when they were doing the whole mirror match, I
Yeah,
can
the
do it better
build up.
than you stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But the super kicks just got so annoying after a while.
We built it up, and though it didn't feel like the payoff was what we were, I guess, expecting or wanting it to be. Then we go into the next match, the Bianca, Jade, Naomi versus Damage Control. I thought that was kind of like the cool down. And I don't really want to bash that match because I thought it was good. Like Keon was saying, oh yeah, I thought it was all right for what it was or whatever. I thought this was good for what it was, because at the end of the day, we're waiting at that point for the Bloodline match, and we're waiting for Gunther and Sammy. So we needed a cool
Yeah.
down spot. They treated Gunther and Sammy like a co-main event, which it cooked. It did amazing. But for me, I just wish it was someone else. I wish it would have been Chad Gable. I didn't want it to be Sammy, not because I don't like Sammy, but I want more for Sammy, like world title for Sammy, not the Intercontinental title that we've seen him had, and not that he's a bad, competitor or performer. I just feel like that belt around Sammy hasn't really had much going on. So Gunther making it something respectable, I wanted it to have that effect on someone else, like a Chad Gable, like a Jey Uso, where it would catapult them into the stratosphere. Because if the Jimmy and Jay match, there was no rush to get to it at this point, right? We could have just had Gunther lose the belt to Jay at WrestleMania, and then Jay
Yep.
face Jimmy at SummerSlam
Yep.
for the kind of match that they put on. Definitely a shock factor for night one. Definitely match of the night for me. It lasted a long time, and then you doubled down with the co-main event being the Bloodline versus Cody and Seth. Great entrances by everyone. It felt like a title match. There was a lot at stake. You felt the energy. They fought ringside. They fought in the crowd. They fought all over, dirty. The Rock tried cheating. Everyone tried getting back at each other, one-upping each other. And it had a good slow build to match the pace for The Rock. Once we connected the pieces with the main event, I'm like, this made sense for the rest of the night. Night one was a 9 out of 10, which I thought is a strong 9 too. It's not like it was okay. It was favorable 9 out of 10. I'll give it a strong 9 out of 10. I loved it. Had a lot of emotion. I had shock factor. It had good celebrity interactions. So that's my rating. How about you guys?
That main event was shock factor. It was just shock factor all around that board. I mean, everybody was doing their moves. Everybody's doing their finisher, signature. Rock trying to cheat. Roman cheated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And it was a pretty good match. I thought it was a pretty good match. And Rock had to pin Cody. It was no other way. It was no other way. I mean,
Yeah. Especially if what we're thinking is gonna happen tomorrow.
my rating for the night, I'll give it a strong 9. I give it a strong 9 also.
9. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd give it a 9 out of 10 too. I thought the night was really good. Like the only bad thing was really like the Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso stuff, but
Yeah.
Jay won, so it's not the worst.
Exactly.
I like the main event. I understand, like, I know some people said it was kind of overbooked when they were just saying it was a tag team match, but I don't know. I felt like it was a good way to kind of hide. Rock hasn't been in the ring for a minute.
So we got a couple tens, a couple nines. Successful night for night one, in my opinion. Great show. We'll be back for night two.